them in place. They keep us in chains. By show of hands, who else is sick and tired of the same? 1% trying to keep us small, trying to keep us from getting out. Minimizing the struggles they've caused, saying we're not working hard enough.
We really should stop this fighting. Otherwise, we'll miss the fireworks.
There won't be any fireworks.
And here we go.
And welcome, everybody, to Suck It. I am the great and powerful King of Kings, Prince of all that is awesome, Derek. How the fuck is everybody today on this Tuesday, November 3rd? We all know what day it is. We're going to talk about it? No. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not even going to acknowledge it. I'm not going to I kind of did already. Shit. All right, moving on. So how is everybody today? I hope you're watching the show tonight versus watching that, other stuff on TV. Because tonight tonight, whatever you want to call it, I have another great artist on with me. An artist based out of Pennsylvania, which, isn't too far away from me, which is good. But just released a new album and released a new lyric video here recently. But the new full-length album is called Yelling in a Quiet Neighborhood. Please welcome to the show, Kulick. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. How are you?
You know what? I'm doing fantastically. It's a nice chilly Tuesday here in Northern Virginia. I'm sure you're feeling it too. But it's just one of those days.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm in the battle of how long can I wait until I turn my heat on.
I have had that battle all week with my family. I think last night as we were going to bed, it was like 52 in the house. And my wife was like, please turn on the heater. I'm like, no, we got like 3 other blankets. Go ahead and use one of those. Put on a hoodie. Put on some sweatpants. You'll be fine.
That's right. We're sleeping in hoodies, sweatpants, and about 5 blankets. It feels like a homemade weighted blanket. Don't waste your money on buying one of them. Just put 5 on top of each other and you're set.
Oh, see, we sleep with weighted blankets too.
Well, hey, if you haven't used it, man.
Exactly. I mean, yesterday, holy shit, that I don't know about you up there, but the wind down here was kicking. I mean, trees were falling over. There was branches everywhere. It was crazy yesterday.
Yeah. I'm actually like an avid runner, and I try to plan my runs throughout the week. And I was like, I'm not running because it was 20-mile-an-hour winds here, like 39 degrees. I was like, nah. I ran today. It was sunny out today. So plus what you mentioned in the intro, I was running off some frustration of the moral battle of you have to vote and picking a side and all that other crap. So I'm glad we're not talking about that. That was the only thing I was going to say about that.
Yeah, the thing about it is I'm a political comedian as well. And I've made so many jokes about it this year that I'm done talking about it,
Yeah.
And besides, today might be election day. We're not even going to know who won until the end of the week. Thanks to your state.
Yeah, I know. Apparently the state's the most screwed up.
Yeah.
Dude, honestly, I'm just it's just the unpopular opinion, but I just don't think it matters who's going to win. I really don't. I've never thought that it really mattered.
At this point, with what we got going on, you're 100% right, in my opinion, to be honest with you. Both sides are so fucked up right now. It's a gang war is what it is. And
no one's represented. I feel like no one is represented. So it's like, that's where I'm at with it. And I just feel like you can't even be vocal about that. This is like the first time I'm ever talking about anything political, because it's just like, I don't know. It's just like, get out and vote. Your voice is so important. And I'm just so on the side of like, it's such a train wreck now at this point. It's like the train's going to wreck no matter what. So.
Yeah. You're not wrong. So, you just released this new album. How's everything going for you, man? I mean, especially during these hard times, dude, it sucks not to be able to tour, not to be able to get out in front of your fans' faces. It's just, and releasing new music and during this time is a blessing and a curse, because it lets your fans know that you're still around, but at the same time, they can't really do anything with it other than listen to it on their Echo Dots. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was different. It's different for me because the stage that I'm at in my career is so like if I was an established artist, I think it would be a different conversation we're having. But like this is my first debut album, so
Correct.
I'm not even sure what to expect, Obviously I'd love to be able to tour it, but I don't know. I've actually really enjoyed the time to slow down. I was in a very transitional phase in my life when COVID kind of happened, and I was moving, and so I was able to move and kind of lock myself in and build like this studio like we just built basically during COVID, and I'm able to kind of lock myself in here and write and make content for the new record, and it gave me time to make all the artwork. We made a bunch of single artwork, so I actually like the time. It made me be creative. On a financial standpoint, of course, it was difficult. I mean, I'm an artist where you can't tour and make money, but for that, I've accepted it. I don't know. I feel like I'm way more accepting than most things that I'm seeing and watching and reading. I mean, it is what it is. It's going to be a struggle, and you get through it. And I don't know. I'm just putting my energy into creating.
So what was the inspiration behind this album? I mean, especially with a title like what it has, it's it seems like just reading it without listening to the songs. I've listened to the songs, but I'm just saying, someone who picks it up and looks at it and goes, yelling in a quiet neighborhood, it's like, are you trying to make a statement, or what was the meaning behind this album? Without listening to songs, I have, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. So the whole record is absolutely like a loss record. It's a breakup record for me. And for me, it was difficult for me at first to be able to talk about it because I was trying to be respectful for everybody involved. And I've been with one person my whole life. So then this was like the breakup for that. So like I've been with this person since I was 16. I'm 28 now. So like it was a pretty big moment in my life, and all my music is always autobiographical, and I'm writing as real as I can so that people can really feel the real emotions with it. But at the same time, I was trying to not be so specific and at the moment, So the inspiration was definitely that, and the title. For me, the meaning of the title is like, it reminded me of when my parents used to argue, and I'd be in my childhood house, and it's just all this yelling in this quiet neighborhood of kind of like, keep the peace, be quiet, don't let anyone know there's anything bad happening. And that's exactly what I was feeling when I was going through my situation. I'm like, listen, we're yelling and we're arguing and trying to figure this out, but like, don't tell anybody about it. Pretend that everything's still kind of all right. So that's kind of, that's what I took out of the meaning of the title.
Gotcha. And you're also an artist, right?
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean,
I say that in my daily positive affirmations. I say I'm an artist in myself, if that's what you're asking.
Well, I mean, look at this album cover. I mean, that is art at its finest. I mean, that is a beautiful piece of art. When I was designing the thumbnail for the YouTube video, I mean, I was just like, damn. And I was just going through a lot of your other photos and going through your website and stuff like that. I'm like, you're not just a musician. You are an overall artist. I mean, the stuff that you're putting together and the putting out, it screams more than just musician.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, first of all. Second of all, I've always wanted to be multifaceted with that. Same with the music, same with mixing and mastering and the art and all that. The art for the record I made with April Rose Gabrielli. She plays keys in the band, and most of the people who know me know her as well. And we made all the artwork together, all the single artwork, and the record cover was also that. I have a behind the scenes picture of it I'm gonna post soon too. It's literally she was on a ladder over top of me, and then I was just laying on on the cold concrete floor in my brother's basement with all this shit around me, which had to do with the other singles. But yeah, I really like doing all of the sides. I really didn't know that I was missing doing that, especially because like I was originally signed to RCA Records. That's what we did. That's when we released my single Ghost and Colors, Hole in My Head, and the Hydroplane EP. But when I did that, I didn't have my hand in any of this stuff. It was like, here's the graphic team. Here's what we made. Do you like it? Yes or no? Here's the song that the producer made for you to sing on, kind of thing. I was just doing the thing to do the thing because I wasn't sure how to do it. I'm green, didn't know anything, you know. But releasing this record, I definitely realized how much I love doing all of the things. I mean, even like the like when we get Spotify playlists and I post those graphics, like I make those. I like doing that. Like I'm learning Photoshop a little bit more too, you know. So it's just a really good creative space right now where I'm able to do all that. But I appreciate you saying that. And
Yeah, I mean, because I love it too. You know, just going into Photoshop and just, you know, designing it's so much fun for me. I love the graphic design piece. You know, can I draw worth a damn? Hell no. But am I good at, you know, photography and good with Photoshop and, you know, editing and, you know, this and that? Hell yeah. And I love doing that kind of stuff. I mean, you know, the overlay for my show right here was all done by hand, you know, everything, you know, put together by myself. And I love doing that kind of stuff. I mean,
you have like I hope you don't take offense to this, but you have like the like a tattoo vibe. I don't know if you're not a tattoo artist by chance at all. Right?
I am not a tattoo artist, but I'm a tattoo fanatic.
Yeah, I get that vibe because my cousin actually does all my tattoos, and he like it gives off that vibe. I like it.
Yeah, I'm just your average metalhead that loves you know, craziness, you know, so you know, anything that's the crazier the better. You know, and that's just who I am, and I love that kind of stuff. And you know, when I look at, you know, art in any which way, shape, or form, I get inspired with it. Now, am I the type of person that's going to go to DC and go to the natural, you know, go to an art museum? No. I look for art in everyday life. You know, whether it's, you know, one of my favorite comic books or, you know, like I said, the cover of your album, I just look at it and just like, I just appreciate it. And, you know, I can see art in music. And it's just one of those things where, you know, I can't go a day without hearing a single record, you know, even on the weekends when I'm not working, you know, because I only do this Monday through Friday. And, you know, on the weekend, it's like, okay, I've got to listen to something. I got to get in my car and drive or just go down to my studio and work on art for the following week and, you know, listen to something. You know, for someone who's bipolar like I am, you know, I need that outlet. And, you know, I'm so glad to see other people exploring not just the musical aspect of things, but the art aspect of it as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's important to keep like that sense of awe, if that makes sense. Like to be able to see art in everyday things and not be so stressed and take a moment to kind of like breathe and just kind of look around and just feel yourself in the present and just appreciate the things around you. I really enjoy the same things you're saying. Like, I wouldn't say I have to listen to something every day, but I'll definitely go outside of my boundaries more often now that I'm older than I did when I was younger. Like I'll listen to like random 1950s music or jazz, like just to hear what they did, kind of just to be open-minded with it, you know? I think it's really important to do that, and also to take breaks and go out in the nature and disconnect for a little bit too. I've been on both sides of it, where I've been too into it, where I'm just working all the time and not taking that time, and I've been on the other side where I'm not working at all and I've been too you know, over gluttonous with relaxing.
Yeah, I'm the same way, but at the same time, I'm one of those guys that just, you know, has to work.
Yeah, me too. I'm a workaholic for sure, but that's why, you know, it's funny because that's what we were talking about. like I said, I've been using the Alexa for alarms, like for pills and for when to go to sleep and when to eat. And I do that because if not, I will not eat and will just work all the time. I would wake up and just record, and this room, we blocked all the windows, so you can't even tell what time of day it is. I think I would just work and be like, oh shit, I didn't eat today, and my physical and mental health is completely shit now. Like I overdo it so much. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm bipolar, but I've never been diagnosed or anything. But I do know that I have very, very manic highs and lows.
Yeah, I have been diagnosed, and it's fun. Let me tell you.
Are you? This is a personal question, but are you using any prescriptions? And what if you are? If you don't want to talk about it, it's also fine.
No, dude.
I just started too.
Well, so let me go ahead and stop you right there. And I'm glad you didn't look at this beforehand. Because I love telling people this story. So a couple things. Number one, the name of the show, Suck It, is actually is a offshoot of, when people are depressed, you always hear, the term "suck it up."
Mm-hmm.
My response to them is, suck it. You don't know what the hell I'm going through. Don't tell me to suck it up. So that's where that comes from. It's very mental health based.
I love that.
It's very mental health based. And the underlying theme of every single episode of mine is mental health. Because I want people to come to my show, see the fact that I do suffer from bipolar. I do suffer from PTSD. I do suffer from severe anxiety. I've had 2 suicide attempts, but I'm still here today. And I want people to know that when they come to my show, that they're not alone in their daily struggles. So I have no problem talking about my suicide attempts, my, what pills I'm on, what my regimen is. I have no problem talking about any of that, because if I didn't, I would be completely contradicting the whole idea and premise of the show.
Right. I would love to dive into that, because I've never really openly talked about specifics of it. And I wasn't sure if you were I did see that you talk about mental health a lot. I wasn't sure if you were more talking to the guests about that, or if you do share your own kind of story. But it's
a little bit of everything. Yeah.
It's interesting that you started that's kind of what your message is, because that's kind of what I started my music for. Like I started writing because I was getting completely bullied in school, and it started with that, and then it went to anxiety attacks and panic attacks, and just kind of like self-isolation. I was drinking a lot and smoking cigarettes and dipping at like 13, and just secluding myself on purpose. And long story short, when I finally started a career in music, I decided, like, I want to talk about this, and I'm just gonna talk about it as if no friends or family are listening, and that way it will be the most real thing, so that when people actually hear it, they're like, oh shit, this guy's talking about a real situation. I've been in that situation before, kind of thing. I think it's important to really talk about it. And it was I feel like it was in the spotlight for a little bit, and then it slowly went away with like just chaos of, and it doesn't have to be in the spotlight. I'm still going to always talk about it. I think that especially now, I feel like a lot of people are going through a lot of stuff, and I think everyone goes through things mentally.
Yep.
And they might not even be aware of it. Like there's not enough self-awareness even, sometimes in people, where they don't even understand what's happening. So I think it's important to talk about it.
Yeah, it's very important to me to talk about it. And I did the same thing. For the longest time, there's only a couple people that knew about my suicide attempt that I had. Actually, the 2-year anniversary of it was yesterday, the first one. And I remember this so vividly. Back in April or March, when I started taking the show in a different direction and really started talking about this kind of stuff, my mom called me one day. She goes, "When the fuck were you going to tell me you had a suicide attempt?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I never told you. My bad."
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll never forget that shit. I was just, I was just sitting there, getting ready to record another episode. I'm like, "Oh shit, my bad, mom." But yeah, that's how it is. It's just I want things to be genuine. I want things to be real and as candid as possible. Like I was telling you beforehand, I love way I do things is not interview based. It's conversational based, because at the end of the day, when we're done talking, I don't want it just to be like, oh, that was a great interview. No, like, hey, we built a bond, we built a friendship here. I know I can call this guy for anything, and let's go ahead and continue our path. Because the thing about it is, in this business, whether it's comedy like I do and podcasting, or music like you do, it's all about connections. You have to build connections. You have to build that fraternal bond between people. And, and that's how I want to base my show, because again, everybody has their issues, and the more people you can lean on, the better off you are.
Yeah, I agree. I've done both styles. I've done the conversation and the interview styles. They both have their different, their positives and negatives.
Absolutely.
I much prefer conversations, but that's just because I like talking off the cuff, where like interviews are more like, so what instrument did you start playing? If you can go on your dream tour, who would it be with? Or, and it's like, all right, I've had this before. I'm rehearsed. That it's like, it's fine. I can do that too, but
yeah,
I'd much rather get into the real shit, because everyone, I want everyone to like understand that every person you look up to has these same qualities. They have these same things, and they should not be held on such a high pedestal the way that we do.
Yeah, absolutely. Last week I had on an actress who, is known as a scream queen, nothing but horror movies. Her name was Sadie Katz. And back at the beginning of her career, she had done a 2 Skinamax flicks. And nobody ever asked her about that. Okay. And we were having a conversation about anxiety and bipolar as well, because she's bipolar as well. And, she's talking about how when she first got on a movie set, she was always throwing up everywhere and constantly had anxiety, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, so, if that was the case, how the hell did you react when you were first going on to, Skinamax? And she was like, you know what? Nobody ever asked me that question. Thank you very much. I did those things. I like talking about it. And then she was just straight up said, on my show, she goes, actually, being naked made me feel a lot more comfortable in my own body, and I stopped being anxious after that. I was like, oh shit, that's fucking brilliant.
Wow.
I have, and it was just a great thing. And also during that same interview, the newest movie that she had just come out, got really good reviews and also some really bad reviews. And I said, so we got mixed reviews on this new movie. How are you feeling about it? And she goes, thank you very much for bringing up the bad reviews. Nobody ever does that. And I'm like, why? Why is nobody talking about everything? If they're going to talk, if you're going to talk to somebody, get the whole fucking story, because the thing about it is, if you want to differentiate yourself, you have to ask those questions, because otherwise, why are they going to come listen to your interview and your podcast or your television show if you're asking the exact same thing somebody did yesterday or earlier that day?
Yeah, it's kind of like it's like tiptoe interviews, where they just tiptoe around every fucking thing, and it's like, just it's missing any form of realness.
Yeah, and it's also missing an opportunity to really, separate yourself from the pack,
and talk about something that could be beneficial that you normally wouldn't talk about, like how she said, like she was never even asked those things, like I've never been asked specific things like that. I've been asked like, how was this tour, or how did you handle this, but like that kind of question, you have to be so conscious about how you're answering it to make it about mental health, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like you have to be on that day. If the question's not asked specifically like that, I feel like you have to be on to like answer it in a way that it has a message. Because if not, you can just be like, I handled it well.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about it is too, being with the mental health stuff that I handle, I try not to focus on it 100% of the time too, because at that point it's going to get boring. If I bring on every guest and just talk about mental health for an hour and a half, that'd be boring as hell. Especially like later on today, after I do I'm recording tomorrow's interview, I'm talking to the band September Morning, who's a huge metal band. You know, I'm not going to sit there and talk about mental health with them, you know, with the lead singer Emily for an hour. Hell no.
Right.
You know, I'm going to talk about music, and I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to get real with them, and, you know, stuff like that. And, you know, she's big on the whole, you know, women empowerment movement. So I'm like, let's talk about that. Let's talk about, you know, you and Maria Brink and Lizzie Hale, and let's talk about all these great women in music. Let's fucking, you know, promote that shit.
Right.
So that's what I love about my show. I don't have a niche, as so many people love to fucking, you know, try to put you in one in this business. I refuse to niche myself. It again, it gets boring unless you're like true crime. You know, I don't want to niche myself at all.
Right.
So okay, so you were originally signed to RCA. And it sounded like you fell into the whole corporate media music bullshit that happens. You know, do this, do that. Here's the song I want you to sing. You know, this is how, you know, that's going to happen. So why, you know, how did you differentiate yourself now? And, you know, what's the difference between now and then?
Well, first of all, I want to say, I don't even know if that is the trap I fell into, or if I tricked myself into thinking that's what the trap is.
Okay.
So like, I just felt like I had to say yes in order to get moving. So like, my story was basically, I'll tell you the very quick version of it. I worked at CBS Radio as a broadcast engineer. I met a girl who knew the EVP of RCA named Joe Rigatelli. Great guy, still a great guy, still supportive. And I was supposed to meet with him, with her, like 4 or 5 times, and she kept flaking out. So I eventually guessed his email, which was very easy to guess. And I was like, hey, I'm in New York City. I wasn't in New York City. I said, I'm supposed to meet you today. I was not supposed to meet him that day. And I said, I'm still in the city. Can I meet you today? I don't want to like waste the day. And he emailed me. I went for a run. I was in Hackensack, New Jersey, which is like maybe a half hour away from New York City with traffic. I went for a run, and I came back and checked my email, and he was like, I'm good in 20 minutes. Bring music. So I quickly drove to New York, double parked, and went up and played him some songs. I did that for a year straight after that. I just kept playing him songs. So like, I wanted him to sign me, wanted something to happen. He just kept playing songs. Didn't understand how anything worked. He was like, you need an A&R rep to sign you. I eventually got a meeting with Dan Chernoff, who is the A&R rep for like Kings of Leon. And I was that at this time, this is when I first started smoking weed. And I was just making the most ridiculous, very tongue-in-cheek bad songs. And I played them for this guy, and I have them still, and I'll never play them for the public. They're so freaking bad. They're so bad, dude. So he passed, didn't want to sign me, literally was like laughing in the meeting. I'm like, all right, I need to like get way better at this. Like I was trying to really be pop, you know, because I thought that's what they wanted, you know. But eventually a new A&R guy started in January, and he signed me, and then I started going. So they were like, hey, work with these producers, work with this guy. I was like, yeah, I'll work with all these people. I'm just saying yes. I'm saying yes to everything. Now it's like a year and a half in, and still nothing happened. They're not pushing anything yet. So my friend Carlo, who I was writing a lot with, he wrote this song with Eric Paquette called Ghost. I was like, let me just tweak a little couple things, and I'll sing this, and let's just see if they like it. And when we pitched it to them, they were like, this sounds like it can be a radio hit. Let's push it. So I started my career basically singing a song that 2 other friends wrote that I wouldn't have necessarily have done if it was just completely up to me. But I felt like I was trying to do songs that were completely up to me, and they were just not biting at all. So I was like, all right, I'll just do it this way then. And once we had that, I ended up writing 2 other songs with Dave Katz, and he's a producer who did a lot of, you know, like Katy Perry. Like, he's a big time producer. So I was like, yeah, I'll definitely work with that guy too. And, you know, I know this is long winded, but when I was younger and I imagined doing this, like, I want to be I want to be a radio star. Like, radio is my thing. Like, that's what I've always gone for. I've always wanted to be the radio guy. Like Tom Petty's one of my biggest influences. Short pop songs, catchy. Like that's what I always wanted to be. And I love screamo music. I love a bunch of other kind of music, but my career, I wanted to be that. So I thought I was doing the right thing by, you know, just working with these producers and all that. Now, fast forward to this record where I'm finally able to produce the whole thing and I'm recording everything and I'm playing the guitars, I'm playing the bass, I'm singing all the vocals, I'm doing drum programming, I'm using samples, I'm mixing it, I have my hands on everything, the art I'm doing, you know, all that stuff. Finally getting to that point, I was like, holy shit, I did that entire part wrong. Not necessarily wrong, but like, I don't know if I would redo it, but I knowing now how this feels, that's how that should have felt. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's a lot. I know I said a lot.
No, it's completely fine. No, I mean, that's, you know, you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. But at the same time, you know, if you're trying to get to that point to where, you know, you're just trying to, you know, make that name or separate yourself and do whatever you got to do, you know, what you did makes a whole lot of sense. Because back in 95, 96, the world's biggest band of this generation started out that exact same way with the Foo Fighters. You know, Dave Grohl went to a studio and literally did everything on his own: guitar, bass, drums, sing, sampling, everything. He did it all. And then he brought in everybody later, you know, and look at what happened with them. So, I mean, it's, you know, is it the wrong way to do things sometimes? Absolutely. But you know what? Sometimes it can turn out to be your biggest benefit. And obviously it's benefited you as well.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy that process way more because honestly, sometimes people are confused of what is Kulick. Is it a band? Is it me? You know, and I would answer that with like, it's me, and it's definitely what I write and what I produce, and then I have a band who loves to perform live. You know, and like sometimes we do write those songs together, and the writing is different than producing together. You know, I can sit down and write a song with somebody, but sitting down and producing with somebody is two completely different processes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I definitely enjoyed having my hands on it more, and especially with this record because it was so personal. Like when I was younger and I first started writing music, it was, you know, in the cans, and I made my recording studio my walk-in closet. I took the sliding mirrors off and got rid of all the clothes, and I built the desk because I've been a carpenter since I was 13 years old. My dad and uncle owned a company, and I've always been good with building stuff. So I built basically my own little studio in the closet, and I would always just shut my eyes and zone out and imagine it. There's a lot of visualization happening, you know, and you can't really do that when you're in a room with other people and they made the song and some other people are writing the lyrics, you know. So I really appreciated the freedom from Pat and Steve and ENCI Records to be able to do that with this record. I feel like that was definitely the most beneficial part of it. It was therapeutic.
So how did you end up, you know, leaving, you know, RCA to go to what you're doing now?
Yeah, so the contract was up. I originally signed a single deal, which was Ghost. We did that. Then they opted to the next option, which was the EP deal. And then the next thing after the EP was the album, and they decided to not continue with it, to not do an album. And I was like, yeah, I honestly think that that's the best choice. And my management, who's Pat Magnarella, started his own label called ENCI Records. And he was like, Jake, I've broken artists before. I think we can do this. I believe in you as an artist. I want you to have way more freedom. Come with me and we'll try to do this thing my way. And I've trusted Pat. He's been a really good manager. He's the one that got me this. I toured with Sleeping with Sirens acoustic. He got me that tour. Like, it wasn't RCA. It was totally Pat. The Andy Black tour was totally Pat and UTA. It was the United Talent Agency booking Ryan Soroka. So I wasn't really that worried about leaving RCA because they helped me start my career, but they weren't doing as much as I wish they should be doing. I feel like Pat has already done way more for me. So,
you know, that brings up a good question, you know, with the way things are, you know, in my opinion, and I might be completely wrong, I haven't looked at the numbers, there's more independent artists out there that are doing well for themselves than there are signed talent that are doing well for themselves, in my opinion.
I don't know if that's true, but I absolutely believe it, especially with
Yeah.
everyone being able to blow up on their own with social media.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So, I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but I feel like it is because, when it comes down to it, I see a lot more independent artists, following, bigger bands, like with you with Sleeping with Sirens, or, just all these different bands that are just doing these things that are just phenomenal. I mean, there was this band last year, that Sirius XM was just promoting like crazy, and they were an independent act. They're still an independent act. It's a band called Saul, and Jose Mangan from Liquid Metal and Octane just really grabbed hold of them and just said, you know what, we're gonna make you famous, and they did. And on their own, they didn't have that the backing of anybody else other than Jose. And I think that kind of stuff is, happening more and more every day. And I think in today's day and age, it's almost better to be an independent artist.
I don't know if it's better or not, but I think it's the way it's supposed to be. I kind of think you're supposed to do it like that. And then, the big companies that can give you a lot of money, like sign that deal when you have so much leverage that they're going to give you a boatload of money, that they're going to spend a lot of money. Because that's something that I found that I didn't know that I did ass backwards. Like, my experience with RCA Records was like my A&R guy, he said it. He was like, everyone here sees you as the coach's son, where like Joe Riccatelli found me and then I was signed, and there was nothing done beforehand. There was no independent. I didn't tour. I didn't release anything. I was just already there. I didn't like do anything beforehand. So I think it's important for people to be independent, build that thing. Like I feel like I'm now like that. Like I feel like I signed the major deal and then I was like, okay, well now I'm independent. Let's build all this stuff back up again. Like let's actually do it the old school way, where you slowly build your audience base. And I also feel like most of the artists that are getting signed by major labels, they're all ones that just blew up on like TikTok or something, and then all of a sudden they just get this deal. And it's like, what are you going to do with them in a year? Are they still going to be big? Are they good live? Have you ever even seen them live? Like I just, that's where I'm at with it. That's why I think a lot of the independent artists are doing good, because most of them, like, you just have to be, for the most part, you just have to be fucking good.
Yeah.
If you're going to be independent, because you're not doing it you're not doing it with a cushion. You're not doing it with money. You're doing it just because you need to do it. You want to do it. And I feel like you have to really perfect your craft as an independent artist.
Yeah. Cause you bring up a really good point there with like, TikTok, and then, on top of that, you also have your Twitch streamers, which do nothing but, their own independent music. And then obviously the YouTube guys, and there's been some, major artists that are out there today that have, been picked up that way. But at the same time, if you go back and listen to their original stuff, it sounds nothing like what they're doing now. Now you can say, oh, that's evolution or whatever the case might be. Is it evolution, or is it them just, saying, holy shit, I just got picked up off of YouTube. Whatever you say, I will do, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And, that's all fine and dandy. If that's the way you want your career to go, and and that works, your popularity, supersedes, the creative vision of it all, more power to you. And, I give you nothing but credit, because that's a smart business decision.
I think there's a lot of moving parts with that, because I experienced that as well, where, Ghost came out when Imagine Dragons was huge. So guess what kind of production I have? Big drums, and, like exactly what Imagine Dragons was. So like, there's an element to that of, okay, if we're going to push you to radio, we need these program directors to listen to it and be like, okay, this sounds like it'll fit our format. You can't just do whatever you want, because it won't work that way. It depends what you're trying to do, so I completely understand that. And that I even go through that too with making my music. Like, all right, should I put some trap hats in here? Like most pop songs have trap hats. Should I do that? I did that for some of the songs on the record. Some of the ones I was like, no, fuck that. I won't do it for this one. I think you just got to pick and choose that stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And at the same time, what you did before, you might just, it might have been huge, and then you do a second album or third album, and then one song is completely, you give into the record company saying, okay, I'm gonna do this one song your way, but give me the other 11.
Right.
With like, the prime example of that is Ed Sheeran with what the hell's the name of that damn song? Shape of You. That's the one song that sounds nothing like Ed Sheeran at all. And I think that was him giving in, because I mean, and the story is now known that song was actually meant for Rihanna. So it's like, did he just give in, or did he really like the song? He's never going to admit it either way. But at the same time, it's like, as a fan, you're like, oh, was that? Because Ed Sheeran's one of those guys, as a metal guy, I had nothing but appreciation for him, because I mean, his song was, the songs he had on his first album acoustically with nothing but him and the drums was fucking beautiful stuff. It was really, really good stuff. And then Shape of You come out, I'm like, oh, dude, come on.
Yeah, I think you have to. For me personally, I think it's more of it's kind of a business decision, but it's more like hey, I also want to be a successful commercial artist too, so I'll do this one. It's like you get different things out of each song you write. So like there's certain songs, like on my record Waiting for You, that is the most poppy song that I made. I wanted to make a pop song. Like I did it on purpose, but then there's other songs, it was like, this is just my heart, this is exactly how I wrote this, like Lonely. It's not pop, it's just a piano. I think Ed Sheeran probably did something like that, where it's like, here's my commercial hit, and yeah, it doesn't make you feel a certain way necessarily, but it's a song that will be played in every single bar that summer. And I'm sure he wants that success. Who wouldn't want that success? I want that success. I would be lying if I said I didn't,
Oh, absolutely, dude. And I completely agree with you on that front. It's just, with, the way I was raised in the music business, touring as a guitarist back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and being in the metal genre in Orlando and all this other stuff, we were always told, and to be hip. You don't ever write something to be commercial. You don't, you always stay true to yourself.
Well, that's a metal thing though, right?
Exactly. And that's what I was going to say. So why do you think, it's even a rap thing too, especially some of the harder core rap stuff. So, the commercialization of music, whether it's a metal thing, whether it's a hardcore gangster rap, or, just, hardcore rap. Why do you feel that there's different feelings based on it? 'Cause you know what I'm saying? It's like, why is it okay to, talk about what you're doing and intentionally do that and not be called a sellout, because that's not selling out. You're doing it on purpose, versus somebody who just says, you know what? All right, cool. I'm going to give into what the record label wants.
I think it's literally just based off of if you have personal freedom or not. If I'm doing it because the label's telling me to, I'm not doing it with my personal freedom. Whereas if I'm choosing to do it, I'm able to. I think it's the same thing for if someone works for a corporation versus I'm never going to work for a corporation. I have to work for myself. Like I'm very much so a person of like, I really don't want to work for somebody,
Me neither.
But I'd much rather work for myself and not make nearly as much money. I mean, that's the life choice I chose. I mean, this is what I'm doing, I think it's the same thing with music, where it's like, I think people look down on it if it's you doing something literally just for a record label or for something else. I try to pick and choose with that too. And that's a personal choice. I mean, I wanted to bring up to you too. I don't know if you get asked this a lot. So you just said Florida. Do you know the band Data Remember?
Yes.
Like that's my favorite. I would say it's my favorite band of all time. That's like what I grew up with, and I was that angry young kid, and like all of their lyrics are literally like, you'll never change me, I'm gonna stay true to who I am, I'm never gonna, like, that's their story. It still is their storyline, right? It still is. And that, I think, was what was hard for me when I signed to a major label, because like that's the voice in my head, is like those kind of lyrics of like, don't change who you are and blah blah blah. And it's like, yeah, but I just signed a major record deal. Can you do both? Is it possible to do both? I don't think it is. I think, you're forming a partnership. You're only allowed to do 50% of what you actually want to do. The other 50% is your partnership, which is your label. I'm still the same way with ENCI Records. It's like, I'm doing what I want to do, but half of me is like, okay, would my label like this? Because that's who's supporting me.
I get that 100%, and you're not wrong at all. And by the way, A Day to Remember is badass.
Dude, I loved them because I started with the whole Tom Petty thing, and I was just clean, folky, and I'm like from the country, so I hated to admit that part of myself, but I loved that part. And then A Day to Remember came into my life and was just so exactly what I wanted to be. They were pissed off, and then they had catchy pop choruses with singing and layered vocals, and the production, it was so produced. I love production because of that band, you know. Now I've had to work on being able to perform with just an acoustic or recordings with just a piano because I was so used to production from them. But dude, they're dope. And I love Born of Osiris is another band that came in right after them. They're a little dude, that running and lifting to them is they're a very spiritual band too. I really like them lyrically.
Yeah, Born of Osiris, and Day to Remember, fantastic groups. I remember there's a big festival in Orlando every year put on by the local rock station. It's called Earth Day Birthday, and I remember seeing them. God, it had to have been 2011, I think it was. Maybe not. I can't remember what year it was, but anyway, they're singing, and the lead singer gets into one of those giant inflatable rubber balls and starts running across the top of the crowd while singing.
Dude, that was very innovative. I've seen them a bunch of times live.
That was the only time I've ever seen them live. But I've listened to them for years. They're really great. I hate Florida with a passion, and I'm so glad I was able to get out. However, the Florida music scene, is, in my opinion, one of the best. Some of the best bands have come out of there. Whether it be Matchbox 20. I
know they were from there.
Yeah, the lead singer Rob Thomas was born and went to like Lake Brantley High School in Longwood, Florida, and that Central Florida area is just the band Trivium is from there. Went to the same school Rob Thomas did. Then you got Tom Petty, and then you got Day to Remember, and all these great artists. And it's I love the music scene that's come out of Florida.
Yeah, that's one thing that I actually really missed about my upbringing, because like it's from what's called West Penn, but it's like Tamaqua, Pennsylvania. It's kind of by Allentown. So I don't know if anybody knows where that's at. It's literally bumblefuck. But there's no music scene. Like every time everybody ever talked about music scenes in their interviews, like, oh, I was a part of this music scene, or I moved to New York to be a part of this scene. I'm like, I don't even understand what a scene is. Like now I do, but I didn't when I was younger, because I was like, nothing's going on here. Like I had a cover band, and there was one other cover band, and we rivaled until we graduated high school, and that was it. That was our music scene, Yeah. I played in Philly for 3 years because I lived in Philadelphia for 3 years. But even that, like, I didn't understand that a scene is a community of musicians that all play at the same like venues, basically. I didn't understand. Over and over again, I didn't get it. And honestly, I didn't even like the term scene, because with my association to school and like cliques and like groups, I was like, I don't want to be part of a group because all of them are mean, man.
So let's take a quick turn for a second, and this might turn ugly, but it might not at the same time. So you are from Pennsylvania. You live near Allentown. Are you a Penn State fan?
I never really got into college sports.
Good. Okay. We're good.
Yeah. No, never got into college sports.
Because I'm an Ohio State fan, and we just kicked the shit out of you guys on Saturday.
Yeah, dude, no, I don't give two shits about that. No. Okay. My family's very, very much into sports and football, especially, but that was another part of life where I was like, oh, those people are also mean. Not going to go over there either.
Yeah. And I can attest that, very much so, because I was originally born in Ohio, and, we take our sports seriously in Ohio. In Florida, if you're in, one of the sports towns, they take it seriously, whether it's Gainesville, for the Gators, or Tallahassee, or Jacksonville, or Miami, then they take it seriously. You know, not even Tampa Bay takes the Buccaneers seriously. But the thing about it is, like, you know, we are just hardcore sports fans up there. Like, I can never like the Baltimore Ravens just because of what happened with the Browns. And now I can never like them too because their coach is also the brother of the lead head coach of, you know, Michigan. So it's like, you know, we can't root for that team at all.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I like the NFL. Like I like sports and I like watching them, but I'm not like involved enough to know records, how far into the season it is, when playoffs are starting, you know, that kind of thing. And the only experience I've had with it is my dad's a Redskins fan, or the Washington football team, and I was a Redskins fan as well, and I was living in Philly, and the Eagles are the worst fans. I'm sorry if you're an Eagles fan, you're the worst. It's just what it is. And
I think that's well known.
no, dude, one of my earliest experiences with sports is I was like 12, and I had a Redskins jersey on, peeing at the Eagles stadium, and people in there were like, "Redskins suck." And they're like calling me like faggot and stuff. And I'm like, dude, I'm a 12-year-old boy taking a piss in a, like, it's like my first football game. I'm like, and you're a grown adult, you know? Like, it's crazy. I'm like, what is going on? Philly sucks. But that's just, you know, also the Redskins and Eagles have that rival. So,
yeah,
you know, I also understand that. But yeah.
I've never been a big NFL guy. I've always been just a college guy. Because I love saying this because, you know, once you're, you know, whether it's you know, Ezekiel Elliott playing, you know, entire year with his arm broken, and then them winning a national championship in Ohio, or, you know, back in '99. You know, Chris Winkie playing his entire senior season for FSU with a broken neck. You know, the moment you get to, you know, that's how you play in college. But the moment you get there, you get a little turf toe. It's, oh, I'm out for the season. Just pay me my, you know, my downside guarantee, and then I'll go home.
Yeah, they're super safe. They're super safe.
Yeah, it is. It's funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I offended any NFL players or NFL, you know, fans, I'm sorry. I don't care.
Suck it.
You suck it up. Deal with it.
Yeah.
So, you know, what is your plan now?
That's open-ended. I want to create some videos where I'm singing the songs live to tracks and make really good content with that. Probably do the whole record like that. So even though I can't tour, maybe, you know, kind of create some more visual content. But that area is very crowded right now. Everyone's doing that. Everyone's doing live streams. I'm going to do live streams as well. And we're going to make more visuals probably for the song Waiting for You and Lonely. I'm going to drive to Detroit and film some stuff up there within the next month or so. So basically just keep pushing the record online. Can't do anything in person, obviously, yet. And I'm writing a new record. I'm starting to, you know, write new songs. And I'm also producing other people's songs. April Rose Gabrielli, like I said, she's doing her own solo project. I'm producing a lot of that with Kevin Eisenman and Kevin Salem. And I'm mixing other people's projects too. So I love, my background's in audio engineering. I went to school for that. So I'm just basically being busy in all those realms and not really focusing too much on one. Obviously the artist is the most important, but you know, staying busy.
There you go, man. Why Detroit?
Why what?
Why Detroit? Why are you going up to Detroit? Why Detroit?
That's just where the guy is. The guy's name's Nico. He did all the other lyric videos. Nico and Brandon, they did all those videos. So that's where he's at. So I'm gonna go up there.
Absolutely. Dude, you are exactly what this music business needs. You know, someone who has their head on straight, you know, producing music that you want to produce. You know, you said it yourself, you know, you've done this, you've done that, you know, you wanted to produce, you know, have one good pop song, you know, you wanted to have a piano song, you do it the way you want to do it. You're going to listen to this album, and I've listened to it countless times. And it's so all over the board. It literally has something for the soccer mom driving their kids to soccer practice, to the metalhead who just wants something to chill out to. You know, it's a great album, bro, and I think you did a fantastic job with it.
Thank you, man. I really do appreciate that, and I hope that that's the way the music industry turns. You know, I hope it's organic people just making music they want and keeping it about the music, just keep it about the music. That's what we do this for. Think about why you started doing this because it's all about the music. So I
Absolutely.
appreciate those are very kind words.
Not a problem. And dude, like I said, I hope that you get a chance to go on tour sometime soon here. Because I would love to be able to come see you, bro. Because I think you're a badass.
Thank you so much, dude. We'll be out when we're able to. I'm not worried about it. We'll be there.
Yeah, no, I'm just wanting to go see some damn music.
Yeah, me too.
It's I miss it.
Yeah,
Miss it a lot.
Me too.
But good luck to you, brother, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you very much, man.
You're welcome, brother. Have a good one now.
Yeah, you too.
All right, bye-bye. All right, guys. So that's our Tuesday. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I know I have. What a cool fucking dude that guy is. I appreciate and love every single one of y'all. Tune in tomorrow for the lead singer of September Morning, Emily Lazar. I cannot wait to talk to her. It's going to be so much fucking awesome. So much fucking awesomeness. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed your Tuesday. Don't turn on the news. Turn on Suck It Podcast. Over 100 episodes waiting to listen to at your whim. Or watch on YouTube. That's fine too. But until tomorrow, please stay happy, stay healthy, and as always, stay fucking heavy, guys. We'll talk to you later. Peace.